Here is my Monday thought for the day, and it's quite a simple one. And it is this: it is that compliance equals profitability. And in fact, I could expand upon this quote and simply say that compliance equals success in all things. All things that are plan-based, that are routine-based, require compliance. A failure to comply guarantees their failure. But what is most interesting about this is that humans find compliance so very, very difficult. And it doesn't matter what the element is. It doesn't matter whether it is something as simple as getting up an hour early to go for a walk, or whether it is something complex and immensely important, such as drug compliance. Intriguingly, whilst thinking about this topic, I had a look at an old research topic of mine from back in the day. And this is the notion of drug compliance. It is the notion that people do not comply with their medication routines and rituals. And this is just a little quote I snipped out. And it simply says that in developed countries, approximately 50% of patients living with chronic disease do not adhere to treatment recommendations. And this is something I knew, and I knew from experience and observation. And there are some neat little tables that illustrate this problem. And this is just the rate of compliance for a variety of conditions and their associated drug treatments. Compliance is difficult. One of the things that has been intriguing over the years is looking at people's trading plans, looking at how they see the market, and then matching those plans against the results they're achieving and seeing if there is a disconnect or a mismatch. And so it's necessary in part to define what a trading plan is. And so I snipped this very generic little explanation from Google. And it simply says how many, how much, when, why. And that's the basis of a trading plan. And those things need to be articulated and presented in such a way that someone else could follow them. And this is the key endpoint of a trading plan. You must be able to give it to someone else, they follow it, and they get exactly the same results as you do. This is, of course, assuming that there is no interference from the differing psychologies of traders. But let's leave that aside and note that without a trading plan, your chances of success in trading any instrument in the world are zero. Take that as a given. What is intriguing and interesting to me, though, is what people consider to be a trading plan. Many, unfortunately, consider social media to be a trading plan and wonder why that doesn't work. The slightly more sophisticated and different age group or demographic consider that what they read in the newspaper or what they see on TV is a trading plan. Neither of those are true. Let me give you an example of a very simple trading plan. And this is just the entry criteria for it. And this is the point that most people concentrate on with their trading systems. And they spend months, if not years, trying to refine their entry criteria. And they do so in an attempt to mitigate or remove a few of the problems I'll talk about in a moment. This is simply an entry system for trading the NASDAQ 100. It has two rules. Buy above green line, go to cash below red line. There you go, that's it. You don't need anything more. But what you will have to do is buffer that with your money management, with your position sizing, where your stops might be, how this sort of approach fits in with what else you might be doing. And what is intriguing about these simple trading systems is that over the decades I've been presenting them to people, I find something very interesting. Most can't do it. Most can't adhere to the most simple of rules. And that does raise the question as to why. Why is it that when presented with very, very simple rules, people cannot follow them. And let me give you an example from history. There is a very, very famous experiment done with traders by Richard Dennis and Bill Eckhart, and it's known as the turtles. What happened was in the early 80s, they advertised for a series of people to undergo a trader training program. They selected a variety of candidates, presented them with their trading system. So let me put their trading systems in context. Both men had built massive fortunes following their own trading system. They had access to two of the world's best traders sitting beside them. Most people couldn't follow the trading system that they were given. They knew better, they had an idea, they thought, they felt. They were tripped up by their own psychology. And this leads me to the reasoning as to why people struggle following their plans. And the first is that most people would prefer to outsource their responsibility. So we go back to the notion that we look at social media, we read the newspaper, we see what's on Bloomberg TV or Fox Business News, and we can blame them because it's no longer our fault because someone told us to do something. When you have a trading plan, the responsibility is yours. You own all the outcomes from the trading system. This is actually, from my perspective, the beauty of trading. You are fully responsible for every outcome. Every win and every loss is yours. So you have a profound sense of ownership. The second is a lack of confidence in the plan. This lack of confidence comes about because systems are imperfect. None of them, irrespective of what you might have been told or heard or read, predict the future. They are by and large variations on this theme, where you have to take a leap of faith. You have to believe that on average over time you will win. If you have a lack of confidence in that as a series of outcomes, then you will struggle. It is also possible that a plan and a personality clash. There's very little point, for example, having a plan that requires you to intraday trade foreign exchange if you have a day job and a family. It's simply pointless. It clashes with the real world. Your plan must be reflective of yourself and your limitations. We all have limitations. We all have preferences for the way we see the world. And your plan needs to reflect those. It cannot be a reflection of your wishful thinking of how you wish you saw the world or you wish your circumstances were. People by and large are consumed by fear. As Frank Herbert stated in his rather overly dramatic and overly long space opera Dune, fear is the mind killer. Fear distracts people and distorts their view of what is occurring. Traders have this fear simply because, from my estimation, trading is a leap into the unknown. We do not know what the future brings, so therefore we simply have to step into the unknown. The future is completely opaque to a trader, and that's the way it should be. If the future were not opaque, there would be no risk. If there's no risk, there's no reward. So there would be no point trading. You might as well keep your funds in the bank. People struggle with their plans because the plan doesn't win all the time. There is an expectation fueled by, at present, social media, because that's the mechanism of communication for our current times, that you should never have a losing trade. You will. All trades have clusters of losses. They just do. There is no way around that. You will have periods when the system is out of sync with the market, where it picks up false breakouts, where you get caught by odd changes in volatility. That's just the way it is. Again, we come back to that notion that the future is opaque. And risk is part of that opacity. There is nothing we can do about it. We just have to accept it. And I regard these 5 points as fairly functional. I would regard them as second-order issues. In terms of a first-order issue, for me there is only one. You don't know your why. You don't know why you are doing this. You have not articulated it in any way, shape or form. You've simply gone along with trading as a thing. You might have an oddly shaped view that your aim in the future is to retire as a full-time trader in Monaco. But that's a pipe dream, because there's no way of quantifying your progress towards that, so therefore it's not serious. Until you articulate your why, until it is concrete and embedded in your psyche, you will forever be struggling with following your plan. By definition, you will struggle with compliance, and by extension, you will struggle to be profitable.